Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are now commencing chapter 21, some practical hints on meditative life. First section, find rest in meditation. Never say, oh, my mind is so very restless. How is it possible for me to meditate? Just because your mind is so very restless, you must meditate all the more. A perfectly calm mind does not need so much meditation. People sometimes try to find rest in doing nothing, in being just lazy, but with their minds working, imagining all sorts of useless things. Real meditation is the best means of getting rest, relaxation, and poise. Many people think they can get relaxation in all sorts of diversions and dirty amusements. Meditation and japa are natural ways of resting and filling the mind with new freshness. Through them, the mind flows in a natural way towards the source of all energy, namely the self, and then the mind and the body are refilled by this energy. All strength, all power comes from the divine, and meditation is a direct means of tapping this source. If any day you feel too disturbed or tired to meditate, you can just sit down for a few minutes and pray intensely to the divine. Thou art purity, fill thou me with purity. Thou art energy, fill thou me with energy. Thou art strength, fill thou me with strength. This is from the Shukla Yajurveda Samhita, mantra 19.9. Tejosi tejomayi dhehi varyamasi varyam mayi dhehi balamasi balam mayi dhehi ojosi ojo mayi dhehi. This kind of prayer will calm the mind. The whole secret of poise, of calmness, of true human efficiency is within us, yet people seek it outside. If, after a whole day's hard labor, you feel sleepy at night and naturally find it impossible to meditate, just take the divine name, thinking of the Lord, for a short time, and then go to sleep and get up refreshed in body and mind. A short nap often clears all fatigue, but do not make this an excuse for dozing off during meditation. Meditation in the regular way should be done after your sleep. Next section, seek solitude within you. In the beginning of your spiritual life, you should sit quietly in a solitary place for meditation. But you should also remember that you cannot enjoy solitude merely by going to a forest or a cave. External solitude can help you only if you are able to remain calm internally also. Real silence is the silence of the mind. It is stilling the mind and freeing it from all unwelcome thoughts. First attain the thought of the divine, and then try to eliminate all other thoughts that cannot be directly connected with the divine thought. Quote, mere external solitude will not make one forget the world, and that alone is real solitude which makes one forget the world, and that alone is real solitude in which one merges oneself in Brahman. End of quote. When you sit for meditation, erase all ideas of the world in your mind and think of the Lord alone. Next section, follow a definite routine. Everything must be clear and definite in spiritual life. The first thing to be done by every aspirant is to fix a definite routine and stick to it at all costs. Some people are afraid that such a rigid regimen will make their life mechanical. That is not true. The beginner especially cannot afford to do without a definite routine. That is the only way to discipline a wayward will. We should plan our waking hours, how to discharge our daily duties, what to do with the spare time, what thoughts we should have, etc. The life of a spiritual aspirant must be conscious and alert. Minimize your unconscious thinking and activities. Be more and more wide awake. Habits are to be formed and strengthened. Then spiritual life becomes easier and loses much of its initial strain. Strictly preserve your fixed hours. Then meditation becomes possible even when the mind is very restless. There should be perfect regularity in the hours of your spiritual practice, because only thus does the mind grow accustomed to it. And under all circumstances, a certain minimum is to be kept up regarding one's daily japa and meditation. Don't breakfast in the morning until you have finished a fixed minimum of japa. The duration of spiritual practice should be slowly and steadily increased in the case of a beginner. In the case of an advanced aspirant, there will be an undercurrent of devotion in the mind, which enables him to keep a part of the mind busy with devotional practices at all times, whatever he may happen to do outwardly. Before that state is reached, the greatest regularity concerning the hours and method of spiritual exercises is to be observed by all aspirants most scrupulously. We are not yet sensitive enough. We do not yet clearly recognize our own motives. Sometimes we allow our mind to find nice, plausible explanations for our actions and thoughts and to deceive us. Tell your mind, let me see if you break down, if it complains against the great strain of spiritual practices. If we try to lead the higher life, we should not mind even if we die in the attempt. And the mind will go on revolting and complaining for a long time. It will say, look here, today you have had very little sleep. This may be bad for your nerves. Take care that you do not have a nervous breakdown. Stop your practices for a day or two. Just give your mind some good kicks in such a case. Whip it nicely. Be very hard with this bad mind. Just as a horse gets whipped by its rider when it does not move, so you give your mind a good thrashing if it revolts. If you are not prepared to find time for our daily spiritual practice, we can never progress. Many people never seem to have realized this fact at all. We must minimize all unnecessary waste of time in futile thinking, gossiping, aimless activities, wandering, etc. Then we will get plenty of time for our spiritual practice. With a few minutes of random meditation a day, nothing can be achieved. Time is to be saved as much as possible, and we should never spend too much physical energy in unnecessary occupation. At present, there is too much useless waste of physical energy, too much mental restlessness. Whirlpools everywhere. Break the whirlpools if you want to find the right mood for intense spiritual practice. Next section. Improve the quality of your meditation. Learn to intensify your meditation. Pay more attention to quality than to quantity. For people who are very busy, there is no other way. Whatever time you set apart for meditation should be properly utilized. Increase your power of concentration. In the same way, you must increase the quality of your studies. When you read a book, do it with concentration and a definite purpose. Absent-mindedness during meditation is not only a sheer waste of time, it is a sure sign of lack of spiritual fervor. Many people in the name of meditation go on thinking about worldly things. If you find the mind becoming very tamasic, dull, or rajasic, restless, you should get up from your seat, read some elevating passage, and when the proper spiritual mood returns, sit down again. Sleep and meditation should never be combined. At the time of meditation, the mind should never be allowed to enter a drowsy state. For many people, meditation seems to be an invitation to sleep. This later on becomes a bad habit. Auspicious days. In order to repeat the name of God or meditate on Him, you don't have to consult the calendar or the almanac. Every day is an auspicious day to think about God. Every day takes us nearer to death. So one day not spent in thinking of the Lord is one day wasted. According to Hindu tradition, a few days after a birth or a death in the family are considered to be inauspicious for religious observances. But that applies only to external rituals, not to japa and meditation. Spiritual practice should be continued on all days and under all circumstances. Some people have great faith in astrology. In Bengal, late evenings are said to be inauspicious. When I first went to Madras in 1911, I found that the Rahu Kalam, and this is the time interval in a day considered by Hindus inauspicious for any undertaking, I found that the Rahu Kalam was mostly in the morning. For those who are lazy, this means that practically the whole day is inauspicious. Once in August 1929, I went to Belur Mutt on some work. Mahapurush Maharaj, who is Swami Shivananda, was then the president of the order. He was very much interested in the work at Madras. Whenever I went to Belur Mutt, he used to ask me to go back to Madras soon so that the mission's work there might not suffer. But this time I wanted to stay at Belur Mutt for a little longer. So when Mahapurush Maharaj usually asked me when I was going back, I told him that the following few days were inauspicious. Actually, I did not care either for auspiciousness or inauspiciousness. It was only an excuse for remaining in the spiritual atmosphere of Belur Mutt a few days more. Mahapurush Maharaj's advice to me on this occasion should be an eye-opener to all of us. Mahapurush Ji, but you are men of action. It won't do for you to look for auspicious days. Those who have nothing to do can afford to consult the almanac at every step. The master also used to say, only those who believe in such things are affected by them, others are not. Besides, you are devotees of the mother. She is protecting you under all conditions and will always do so. If one takes the name of the Lord and starts on a journey, one will not come to grief. By the strength of his name, even distress is transformed into a blessing. Saying this, he sang, whoever starts upon a journey taking the name of Mother Durga, Shiva with his almighty trident surely will protect him. In a couplet composed by Tulsidas, there is the same idea. Every phase of the moon is auspicious, every day an auspicious day. An inauspicious day affects him only who has forgotten the Lord. The day one takes the name of the Lord wholeheartedly is a good day. This is from For Seekers of God, translated by Swami Vividishananda and Swami Gambhirananda, published in 1975, page 84. In 1933, when I boarded the ship on my first voyage to the West, I did not bother about finding whether it was an auspicious day or not. Everything went well with me. I went with the idea that I was going for the Lord's work. If the mind is pure, there is no need to consult the almanac. If you start repeating the Lord's name, every time is an auspicious one. When I was in Europe, many people wanted to study my palm and horoscope. I never had a horoscope. One devotee asked me, Swami, don't you believe in the influence of stars and planets? I replied, I am in the hands of a power that controls the stars and planets. On the birthdays of great souls, we should devote more time to recollection and meditation and prayer and avoid outer distractions all the more. They should not be merely days of outward festivity and social rejoicing, but also of quiet withdrawal into our innermost soul, where we can contact them if you are able to reach the plane of consciousness. Do not think these great ones are gone. No, they exist now just as they existed in their lifetime. Everybody who is sincere and learns how to raise his consciousness about the physical plane and how to fix it on the great ones and their ideal can come in touch with them and be in their company. Do not think Christ lived only 2000 years ago. Do not think Buddha is dead and gone. They are immortal. Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda are still alive. The living power continues to guide and mold the destinies of thousands of people. Next section, time for meditation. Try to practice meditation 4 times a day as Swami Brahmananda has advised us, at dawn, midday, dusk and midnight. At these points of time, nature becomes peaceful, and there's also a change in the flow of spiritual vibrations inside and outside us. Those who cannot meditate at all these times should at least stick to the morning and evening hours. How many times do we eat in a day? If we can find enough time for physical food, should we not also try to make time for spiritual food, which is absolutely necessary for a healthy mind? When we are hungry, we run and snatch some food. We must feel hungry for spiritual food also. Then we will not complain about lack of time. Morning is the best time for meditation. The night's sleep will have erased or quietened many of our memories, and it is easier for us to concentrate then. As soon as you wake up, salute the Lord and repeat His holy name. Fill your mind with the mantra and the holy image before you think about worldly affairs. Never allow the mind to dwell on worldly things as soon as you get up from bed. The conscious mind is then not active, and the unconscious mind is more receptive. So whatever suggestions you give to your mind at that time sinks down deep into the unconscious. The small hours of the morning just before dawn are the most precious for spiritual aspirants and should be fully utilized for japa and meditation. It is good to sit for a while on the seat after finishing your meditation. We should sit quietly thinking about the object of our meditation in a relaxed way. Then our mind will be filled with fresh spiritual thoughts and we will feel a higher joy. Where does this joy come from? It comes from the deeper layers of the mind. This is bhajanananda, the joy derived from worship or meditation. We will then be at peace with ourselves and with the world. We may then recite some prayers and hymns along similar lines in order to intensify and stabilize the meditative mood and inner joy. Even after leaving the seat, we should not immediately talk with anyone, but should rather be contemplative and remain self-possessed. Practice like this fosters a continuous undercurrent of meditation, helping us to keep our mind on a high level. This after meditation sitting should be brief. If you meditate for 15 minutes, should you go on sitting there for 3/4 of an hour? If you meditate for an hour or an hour and a half, you may continue to sit for another 15 minutes or so to protect your spiritual mood from a sudden invasion of worldly thoughts. That is what Swami Brahmananda advised us to do. We will stop here, and next time we will continue in this chapter, which is some practical hints on meditative life, with the section titled Instructions Regarding Sleep. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.